We're continuing our interviews with Ed Hartman, and the next question is, what does a corporation need to do to develop an ethical culture so that everyone in the organization understands the right thing to do on a daily basis?
Well, there's some things you can do organizationally, administratively. For example, I think it's a good idea to have not only a compliance officer, but an ethics officer, separate person, separate office. Someone who can speak truth to power, and someone who reports not only to the chief executive, but also to, say, the audit committee of the board. Um, that, that can be powerful. I think, though, that let me take an example, I think, of how uh, an ethical culture can be created. Johnson & Johnson, an imperfect company, but one that has a pretty good record as far as ethics is concerned, has developed a kind of corporate mission statement called a credo. And the credo doesn't say, we're going to be nice people and see to it that the world is a better place in which to live. It says, we are going to be an outstanding, excellent business. These are our stakeholders. This is their priority. This is what we owe them. And if you are in Johnson & Johnson, you buy into these values and these priorities. Johnson & Johnson created the Credo 70 years ago, but they bring it out and discuss it all the time. And sometimes when they're making a big ethical decision, as in the Tylenol controversy, they say, okay, now let's think about the Credo again. What does it require us to do? And in that case, it required something that in the short term was very expensive. In Johnson & Johnson, every employee is expected to understand that what the Credo requires and to act accordingly. But I think that it is important for management to get across that they are in business to make money and to enrich their stockholders. But the right way to do that is through, well, excellence, through being a first-rate company, through making first-rate products, providing first-rate services, having first-rate employees, all of whom understand that in the long run it's best for them all if they buy into the excellence of the company. Having excellent relationships with, say, suppliers, which involves not only doing what you say, not only sort of getting the best price and so on, but having the kind of relationship of trust that gets you through difficult situations. Living in part off the external and internal reputation that an excellent company has. Some people are not extremely comfortable in talking about ethics. Over time, they can learn to be, but I think it should always be married with an understanding that our mission is to do something that is first rate, to do something that really satisfies our customers, to compete in the right way, to win in the right way. This is not something that can be done overnight, even if you do have an ethics officer, even if you do fire a few people who are caught with their hands in the till or something like that. But over time, people understand that they are expected to do the right thing, the excellent thing. I guess that's the most important message.
Ed, how does one make an ethical decision in the business world? What do we know about this that we could give guidance to others about making ethical decisions?
Most important, understand the situation that you're in very broadly. I mentioned utilitarianism a while ago. I think one of the things you need to think about is who will benefit from your decision and how much, and who will not benefit, and what are the claims that your stakeholders have on you that you must satisfy, starting, of course, with your stockholders. So that's and that's not always easy. The ramifications of a decision can be long. So it's very important to understand what the consequences are, and more broadly, to see the situation you're in from a whole lot of different points of view. My man Aristotle at one point says the person of good character is the person who really can give a salient description of a situation, who really understands it well. And that takes a lot of experience, as in, for example, strategy or human resources or teaching, almost anything else we do. And you need to ask yourself whether the decision is going to be unfair to somebody, whether the decision is going to treat somebody with anything other than respect and dignity. Let me give you an example of an ethical decision that I was actually personally involved in once. More than 30 years ago, I was a young consultant just out of MBA school, kind of late MBA school. And I was told that I was going to be sent to England to teach some of our consultants and clients, London consultants and their clients, how to do business-related research. I said, fine, I can do that, but why not send Denise? I mean, she was head of the research unit before she became a consultant. And the response was, the Brits won't work with a woman. Now, I asked my students what they would do about this, and they're pretty good. They bring in a lot of considerations like, will it do Denise any good if she fails? What's our fiduciary duty to the partners of the firm? Are we going to make ourselves ethical heroes but pay a terrible price? And so on and so on. The way the situation was resolved was this. I was told that I was going to go. I felt a little funny about it, but decided, okay. Then a senior partner of the firm asked who was being sent. Answer, Ed. Ed. Why Ed rather than Denise? Well, because the Brits won't work with a woman. To which the senior partner said something somewhat dismissive of the Brits and added, we're sending Denise. And she went, she was supposed to be there for 2 weeks, and at the end of the first week, she was asked by one of the Brits, I say, Denise, do you suppose you could stay for another fortnight? And she did, and yet another and another and another. She was a huge success. Now, she might not have been. This doesn't show that standing up to sexism in a country that was about to elect Margaret Thatcher would always be successful. But this was a decision made by someone with many years of experience, who had a good heart, who understood a lot of the ramifications, who saw that there was something bigger at stake than the success of a particular project, who saw that there was something that the company ought to be standing for, who saw that there was something that would be noticed by a lot of other consultants, including female consultants. We've got Denise's back. We have full confidence in Denise. And if you don't like it, that's okay. Well, it's not okay, but we'll live with it. So, you do need to look at, and one more thing. It's very important to get your facts straight, because as it turns out, no one had ever actually asked the Brits whether they'd work with a woman. It was just assumed that since they were Brits, they wouldn't. Now, this is a decision, we could say it was the ethically right decision, but the senior partner who demanded that Denise be sent understood that he's in a business that has to make money. But he also understood that there are certain things we're just not going to do. There are certain things we stand for. And it's quite possible that in the long run, those things we stand for will stand us in good stead. I said before that, yes, I think we can teach business ethics to students. But I also said, following Aristotle, that achieving ethical wisdom is a lifelong proposition towards which we can make certain steps, among other things, by making people see things more clearly and notice more aspects of the situation. This guy, 60, 65 years old, was bringing to bear a lot of business experience, a lot of life experience, and his gut instantly told him what he had to do. And I think that was the right decision. So go thou and do likewise.